Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. Spencer Reese here from militarymoneymanual.com. Doing a walk and talk podcast episode with Jamie here. We're just so apologies if the audio quality is not up to our usual standards, but it's always nice to get out in nature and walk around a bit while we get to talk about Roth IRAs, one of our favorite topics. 2026 is coming up, and the Roth IRA contribution limit is going up to $7,500. So that's $625 per month. So every month, if you put in $625, you'll max out your Roth IRA contribution by the end of the year. Now, Jamie, our favorite question, is a Roth IRA the same as a Roth TSP?
No, a Roth IRA is not the same as a Roth TSP. Just because they both have the word Roth in them, or the name, does not mean they're the same. So your TSP limit is different from your IRA. And we're talking today specifically about Roth IRA limit, $7,500. That's separate from what you can do in your TSP, which is like $23,500 right now. Do you know if that's going up for 2026 yet?
Yeah, it is. It's going to $24,500. So you're going to get to put an extra $1,000 into your Roth TSP account if you're lucky enough to be in a position where you can max out both of them. And that's the critical thing there, Jamie, is Roth IRA is not a Roth TSP, and Roth TSP is not a Roth IRA. Two completely separate contribution limits.
It's not a Roth limit. People
Correct.
talk about
a Roth limit. Yeah.
I've already done $7,000 to my Roth. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
There is no Roth account.
Yeah.
There's a Roth IRA account, there's a Roth TSP account, but there is no just Roth account. $7,500, it's a pretty good hurdle. I would recommend that most military families, most military service members, and military spouses open up their own Roth IRA account at one of three places: Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. Those are the big three brokerages in America. Each of them have trillions of dollars assets under management. They are literally the definition of too big to fail. Like, if any of them did go bankrupt or did fail, the government would have to intervene, and probably what would happen is one of the big three would buy one of the other ones. So if Fidelity ever failed, then Schwab would buy it, or they would break it up and sell, a quarter of it to JP Morgan or something like that. But the nice thing is about these brokerages is they're all insured. So when you own the shares in there, they don't actually even get to touch the shares. There's a custodian that handles the shares completely separately. So while you're dealing with the Fidelity app, they might be contracting out to a company like BlackRock that is actually holding the shares in your name on your behalf. So lots of security, lots of safety. Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, all good places to open up a Roth IRA in 2026 and contribute as much as you can to it.
The very first Roth IRA I had was via USAA. Sure. Why not a Navy Federal or USA? What's the advantage of getting to a Schwab, Fidelity, or Vanguard type brokerage?
I think the main advantage is you just get access to more investment options, and you get access especially to the kind of investment options that we love, which are low-cost, automated, diversified, and simple index funds. And you can trade for free ETFs on all of these platforms. So, for example, you could open up a Schwab account, Schwab Roth IRA account, but you don't have to buy Schwab funds inside the account. You could buy VTI, Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund.
In 2026, if we haven't started a Roth IRA or an IRA and make Roth contributions to it, it's the perfect time to start that, opening it with one of those big brokerages. And let's say that, initially maybe $7,500 might seem like a big, hairy, audacious goal. Let's talk a little bit about why it's a good stepping stone goal compared to like trying to max out the TSP at $24,000. That one's pretty hard for a lot of military families to do, especially early on. But with the Roth, $7,000 is a little bit more achievable, even though it might seem like kind of scary at first. You'll be able to achieve it sooner than $24,000.
Yeah, so if you break it down, like I said, a $7,500 limit for 2026, and it changes every year. So make sure that you research if you're listening to this episode in the future, but we'll probably record an update one for 2027. You can break that down into monthly, so you can put $625 a month, or you can even break it down by paycheck. So we get paid 2 times a month on the 1st and the 15th of every month, unless there's a government shutdown like there is currently. But once that's resolved, you go back to your regularly scheduled paycheck program, which is getting paid on the 1st and 15th of every month. And that's $312.50 per paycheck. On Vanguard, you can actually set it up so that let's say you wait a little bit and you don't open up your Roth IRA account until February. You can say, look, I want to max it out by the end of the year and I want to contribute every 2 weeks. Vanguard actually has a program that will automatically draw enough money from your checking account every 2 weeks to max out your Roth IRA account by the end of the year.
They even have a system where you can set it to every year to max out the amount. So if it changes again in 27 or 28, it's going to automatically do that work for you. So you're not having to go in and adjust how much you're contributing. The other unique thing about an IRA, comparing it to a TSP, is that you can actually contribute past the calendar year to last year's tax benefit. So can you explain how that works a little bit and how that's different from TSP contributions?
Yeah, so TSP contributions have to be made in a calendar year and from your paycheck, right? Your military LES. For the Roth IRA, you can contribute money from any income source as long as you have earned income into your Roth IRA. So another interesting thing I want to mention here as well is a military spouse, even if they don't have a job per se, if you are married filing jointly, you can count your spouse's income as your earned income. So let's say that you're a stay-at-home mom, 2 kids, but your partner is active duty military, and as long as they make over $15,000, so $7,500 each, you can both max out your Roth IRA accounts.
That amount, the $15,000, is your AGI after, like if you have tax-free for a year, if you're deployed for the whole year, will you still be able to contribute to 2 IRAs?
You're still able to contribute to 2 IRAs because there's a provision in there that says if you don't have enough earned income, but you have combat zone income, that can count towards the earned income requirement,
which is beautiful.
Roth IRA.
Yeah, so almost every military family should be able to. Not saying that you can immediately put in $15,000 this year. That's not what I mean. But you have that goal of doing that. And the reason why some people recommend 5% to your TSP, get your match, and then go work on maxing out your IRA is because it's a more achievable goal. Then once you do that, then you can go back to your TSP potentially.
Yeah, and I just want to come back, Jamie. So I got a little distracted there, but to answer your question, you can make the contribution for 2025 up until tax day, April 15th of 2026. So let's say that you have a large emergency fund. Let's say you had a $15,000 or $20,000 emergency fund, and you're listening to this episode in early 2026 or early in the year of 2027. You can actually make a contribution for the previous year up until the tax deadline. You just have to make sure when you're making the contribution on, let's say, Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab, it'll ask what tax year are you making this contribution for, and you select the previous calendar year, 2025 in this case. The other thing I wanted to mention, Jamie, about why people recommend, and you'll see this a lot on the internet, on Reddit, where people will say, look, if you're in the blended retirement system, make sure you're putting 5% into your TSP, into the Roth TSP, so you're getting your full 5% match. And the match is going to go into your traditional TSP. You can't control that. And that's fine. That's just the way the system is set up. You just have to accept that. And then once you're putting 5% into your Roth TSP, which for most military service members in the blended retirement system is automatic at this point, then go and try to max out your Roth IRA. And then come back to your Roth TSP and try to max out your Roth TSP or keep contributing to your Roth TSP. Now, why do people say prioritize the Roth IRA over the Roth TSP? Like you said, Jamie, a much more achievable goal. It's $7,500 a year instead of $24,500. I think the other really good reason that a lot of people don't think about is any contribution to a Roth IRA is immediately withdrawable with no penalty, no taxes, no fees. So let me say that again. If you make a $5,000 contribution to your Roth IRA in the morning, that afternoon, you can pull that $5,000 back out of your Roth IRA and pay no taxes, penalties, or fees on that. What it becomes is essentially an investment vehicle that's tax advantaged and also has the flexibility where you can pull your contributions out at any time, tax penalty free, and you don't have to worry about that. Now, I will caveat that and say you probably don't want to do that because once you have, let's say you have 10 years of contributions into your Roth IRA. Let's say you put $50,000 of contributions to your Roth IRA. If you pull out that full $50,000 all in one go, you can't put it back in.
Yep,
you can only
put tax year.
You can only put in the limit for the tax year, which in 2026 is $7,500.
So with the IRA, we have the option to, one, immediately withdraw. We can control when we can contribute. We can contribute from multiple income sources.
You can contribute for previous tax years.
For previous tax years up until the tax filing deadline. And for a spouse that doesn't have earned income right now, if we're married filing jointly, we can still have a retirement account.
Set up for the spouse.
Set up for the spouse like that. So that's kind of a quick summary of the advantages of an IRA compared to the TSP. Both are great. They each have their own benefits, different tools for different purposes. The IRA is also individual, so it's not employer sponsored. So it's an individual retirement arrangement or account. And so you could take it with you if you separate from the military, if you retire, if you change jobs, like whatever's going on, it's yours. You and Vanguard or you and Schwab, you and Fidelity, that account's between you guys. And you don't have to deal with like transferring it to a new employer or a new 401k or anything like that.
Yeah, and the other thing that a lot of people mention too is you have more investment options. So in the TSP, I do love the TSP. I think the TSP has excellent investment options. They have the 5 funds, the C, the S, the F, the I, the G, and then they have the life cycle funds, which are based on those 5 funds. And I'm a big fan of the TSP. I think they've done a really good job with presenting the investment options. The I fund, a lot of people have been ignoring the fact that the I fund is the best performing fund this year. But it is true that in the IRA, the Roth IRA, like at Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, you have the entire investment universe that you can invest in for good or for ill. So you can be in a triple leveraged, Tesla ETF if you really wanted to, or you can just be in a simple, low cost, automated, diversified index fund like VTI or VT, the Vanguard Total Global Stock Index Fund.
So here's a little bit of a nuanced question with taxes. This could be its own 5-hour episode if we're not careful, but the tax advantages of putting certain types of investments in a retirement account versus a brokerage account, i.e. bonds or accounts with dividends or individual stocks where I'm going to be trading more frequently if that's part of my strategy compared to a long-term buy and hold. Is an IRA a better venue for the tax purposes of those or worse than a brokerage account?
Well, Roth IRA is the ultimate investment account because once you've gotten the money in there, you've already paid the taxes on it. So especially for a military family or military service member, your taxable income is so low while you're in active duty. So you're paying very little tax, probably for most military families, less than 10%. And I would say for a majority of military families, less than 5% effective tax rate. So you have a very low tax rate. You're putting that low tax money into your Roth IRA. And then while it's in the Roth IRA, it's growing. This is true for a Roth TSP as well, but the account is growing, and while you receive dividends in that account, you don't have to pay any income tax on those dividends because they're inside the Roth IRA account. And if you have capital gains, and let's say that you're trading frequently or you want to rebalance, every time you buy and sell inside your Roth IRA, you don't have to pay capital gains on it because it's inside a Roth IRA and it's a tax advantage account. After age 59 and a half, you can access all the funds in the Roth IRA account. And again, there's no income tax on it because you already paid your income tax before you made the contribution. But what you'll see is there was an example where in the 2012 election, I think it was, with Mitt Romney, and he had a Roth IRA that was worth over $100 million. Now, how did he pull that off? Well, you would contribute your normal contribution limit. You would purchase shares, non-publicly traded shares of, say, your investment company, and then the value of those shares would skyrocket. And so you were able to it became a tax shelter where you could put, hundreds of millions of dollars, and now you pay no capital gains tax on that for the rest of your natural life. And if once you die and your inheritors or your estate takes that account, there's no taxes owed on it. And you have to clear it out, so you can't just leave it in there. There's a 10-year, currently the law is there's a 10-year period. But yeah, the Roth IRA is one of the most powerful accounts available out there. And I think that every military service member and military spouse should have one.
So for the regular families that aren't trying to shelter $100 million from the IRS, if I contribute, say, $25,000 over the last couple years, and I put it in NVIDIA and it rides up and now it's $100,000, and now I'm 59 and a half, I take that money that went from, say, $25,000 to $200,000, and at 59 and a half, I can take out the $200,000 with zero tax bill, even as it went up. And so That's why retirement accounts are so powerful. And there's a time in your portfolio where brokerage accounts make sense, but probably not until you get a couple retirement accounts set up. You're doing at least 5% of your TSP. You're working on maxing your IRA, ideally maxing that out, then maxing your TSP, and then topping off with brokerage if you have extra money and you still need somewhere to go. So a lot of people, I think, start with like a Robinhood account and start kind of day trading based off of what their friends told them or something like that. But one of the big takeaways we want you to get out of this episode is that the Roth IRA is where it's at. And that needs to be elevated earlier in your priority for a lot of military families to make sure that they're taking advantage of all the benefits and not losing out. I mean, just that tax alone of if you have 40 years of growth from your investments, your contributions when you started in the military at 19, let that grow forever.
Yeah.
And you don't owe tax on it because you paid taxes on the $7,000 that you put in 20 years ago, 40 years ago.
You can run the numbers. Let's say from age 20 to age 60, you make the full Roth IRA contribution just for yourself. So $7,500 in 2026. And we'll just say that it stays that way. So we won't inflation adjust it for the next 40 years, but you make that contribution for 40 years and you grow it at 8, 9, 10%, you're guaranteed to be a millionaire at age 60. So it's definitely like the millionaire's account. It's the easy button to becoming a military millionaire, and highly recommend that after you get your 5% match from your TSP contributions, that you go and open up a Roth IRA account and invest in a low-cost, automated, diversified, simple index fund at Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. So to wrap up, Jamie, for anybody listening to this in 2026, 5% into your Roth TSP, then go open up a Roth IRA account at one of the big 3 brokerage houses like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab, and then start making contributions to your Roth IRA, as well as making contributions, a 5% contribution to your Roth TSP. $625 per month if you start January 1st to max out your Roth IRA for 2026. And remember, if you have a spouse as well, even if they don't have a job that pays a W-2 or a contractor or 1099, remember that you can open up some people call it a spousal or a spouse Roth IRA as well.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions presented here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of the DoD or its components. Reference to any commercial products or services does not constitute DoD endorsement of those products or services.